So I'm here to tell you all about MLS-Touch today, which is the MLS in the palm of your hands. And as David mentioned, it is integrated with just about all of your CoreLogic products. So what you're going to be able to do with MLS-Touch, the app that you can pull down from either the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store, is you'll be able to do full search, whether it's using attributes like bedrooms and bathrooms and locations, or whether you want to do a map search. You've got the ability to do that along with an MLS number search too. And those are all accessible right here from the homepage, which is kind of what you're looking at there on the right-hand side of my screen, a little screenshot of what my phone will look like when we do fire that up. We've also got comparables that you can run in MLS-Touch. There's a Hotsheet that's available to you, very separate from Matrix, but also very helpful, again, having that ability to do that in the palm of your hands. You're going to be able to email and print listings directly from MLS-Touch too. If you've got listings, and this will be something that I will not necessarily be able to demo for you since I'm not an active agent on your roster, but if you've got listings and you access them from MLS-Touch, you're going to have basic editing capabilities too. You're going to be able to edit things like prices, remarks, and statuses as well. Contacts, searches, and your One Home client portal all sync with Matrix as well. So the changes you make here are the changes that come out there. People save a property or favorite a property in One Home. They're also going to see that you're also going to see that that property is saved or favorited for them in MLS-Touch as well. And lastly, you're also going to see some Realist Tax integration too. We're going to give you all the public tax record information in MLS-Touch for all these properties as well. So again, here's a nice little closer look at what is effectively your home screen of MLS-Touch. And two of the other features that I really want to point out that you've got quick access to are number one, the Hotsheet. That's over there on the right-hand side at the bottom. So you're going to be able to put in numerous different locations, whether those are cities or counties or areas, and you're going to be able to see what kind of changes have been made to properties in those particular areas. The other thing that's a really nice feature that, again, I won't necessarily be able to demo for you today being so far away from me in Minnesota, is InstaView. InstaView is a really nice feature where if you're looking for properties, maybe you're on a tour of homes or you're looking at a condo with a particular client, and they say, I really like this property, but, I'd like to see what else is available in this area too. Well, what you're going to be able to do is press that InstaView button if you're in that condo complex or in a neighborhood, and you're going to be able to see what properties are listed for sale right within about 500 feet of your current location. So another nice little feature, as long as you've got your location services turned on in conjunction with the app, you're going to be able to see where properties are that are nearby you as well. You as agents are going to have access to all listing statuses. You're going to have active, pendings, expireds, and solds. This is a nice little map view showing you all those different color-coded properties. Blues are going to be active, oranges are going to be pending, and of course, those reds are going to be sold as well. So you will have access to all statuses. The other thing that we try to do here in MLS-Touch is give you every single search attribute that you need to be able to serve your clients. So everything that you'd be able to search on in Matrix, we want to make available for you here in MLS-Touch as well. There are, of course, the most important search attributes that you see over here on the left handmost side of my screenshots here. And then, of course, you're going to be able to click on more search options too, and get access to all kinds of extra options as well, construction options, cooling options, heating options as well. And you'll be able to select any of your statuses too. You're going to be able to run live market stats on any searches that you do. So you'll be able to look at the stats for actively listed properties, for properties that were sold or properties that are expired too. We're going to be able to give you an instant access to sold comparables. So just a one-button comparables report is going to be available for you there in MLS-Touch as well. And also you're going to have a really nice, beautiful list view. So when you return those comparables, when you return any list of properties, you're going to have three different ways to look at them, both the map, the list, and the stats, as you can see on the headers of most of these screenshots that I'm showing you. And the list view is great. You're going to get a nice little thumbnail view of the property, all the vital information you need about it on the right-hand side, so you can easily see what you're looking at before you click into it. And then when you do click into a property, you're going to get a great detailed listing info. So you're going to get the photos up here at the top and all the information that you need about where that property is located and all sorts of other things that I'll show you when we fire up MLS-Touch here in just a minute. Also, if you like to use your phone in landscape mode, it's a great way to look at photos. It's a great way to look at various things in MLS-Touch too. Sometimes that layout lends itself to, nice larger photos and the ability to scroll through them too. I am going to show you through today's demo how you can send listings via email, whether it's one listing or multiple listings that you want to send. We're also going to dip a little bit into Facebook auto publishing. So I will show you that when you have your own listings that are coming soon, or have had a price reduction, or anything else, that any changes that have been made, you're going to be able to automatically publish that to your Facebook business page as well. So that's just another piece of integration that we have in MLS-Touch. And we also have showing service integration too. So showing time is going to actually integrate, and you'll be able to set up showings right here within the app for yourself as well. Again, the MLS in the palm of your hands. The other thing that I'll be really focusing on today is you're going to be able to make your own custom app to share with your clients too. So what you're looking at here is sort of a step-by-step tutorial here. So in the in the MLS-Touch app that you've got available to you, which I'll point out in a minute in the App Store, you're going to have a branding center. And you're going to be able to brand your app to any sort of either existing brokerage that we've got. In fact, you see I have Remax in here, but you can also put in your own branding as well. So if you want to brand it to your own logo and you've got that logo on your mobile device where you're using MLS-Touch, you're going to be able to bring that logo in, brand that app, then share it with your clients where it will be branded to your specifications. And then you'll be able to also actually generate kind of leads as well. So it's a nice passive way to generate leads. I'll show you the various ways to share your app, whether it's the way you want to generate leads or whether it's with already existing contacts that you have in MLS-Touch. Now, you don't just have to use an iOS or an Android phone. You can also use tablets as well. MLS-Touch looks wonderful on tablets, a lot bigger, a little easier to read, but really all the navigation will be basically the same for you as well. The other thing to know is there's just a ton of syncing with MLS-Touch too. So if there are contacts that you already have in Matrix, the first time that you log into MLS-Touch using the same credentials that you use to log into Matrix, all those contacts are already going to be in MLS-Touch for you. So you don't have to start from scratch. You don't have to import your contacts manually or put them in manually. They're all going to be there the first time you log into Matrix. Plus, as you go on using both the Matrix and MLS-Touch systems, if you add a contact in MLS-Touch, it'll also be added in Matrix, and vice versa. If you add a contact in Matrix, it'll also be added in MLS-Touch, and both of those things happen almost instantaneously when you make those additions. Now, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, we're also going to sync with the client portal as well. So if you've got listings that you've sent to your clients via Matrix via email, and they favorite those properties in the One Home client portal, or they possibility one of those properties in the client portal, those are also going to show up as favorites and possibilities for that client in MLS-Touch as well. So both of those go both ways too when it comes to that syncing. And then lastly, just to sort of reiterate, there's a ton of integration with Matrix and Realist, some of these things we talked about a little bit, but your saved searches are also going to sync from Matrix to MLS-Touch as well. There's going to be Realist Tax integration where you're going to be able to tap right on the parcel lines for these properties and find out whether or not either if they've been listed, and if they've not been listed, you're going to be able to find out that Realist Tax and public records information. And as I mentioned, you're going to be able to do some quick listing edits as well. All right, with that said, let me get out of this PowerPoint. Let me do my magic here as I bring my phone up onto the screen and we do a little share. So pardon me while I just take a moment to do that. Here, I'll also turn off my camera for you. And just in a moment, I should have my phone coming up here on my screen that you should be able to see. And of course, Matrix is here in the background too, which I'm going to leave up for a little bit because I want to show you some of that syncing. But we're going to start first with how do you get the MLS-Touch app. So what you're looking at on my screen is two versions of the app. MLS-Touch is on the left-hand side. That's the one that I want you, the agents that I'm speaking to today, to download. You're also seeing one over there on the right-hand side that says MLS Client 2. That's going to be the one that your clients are going to use when you share that app with them. And again, it's going to allow you to collaborate back and forth with them just seamlessly. So I should say, I wouldn't recommend necessarily that your clients go out and download that MLS Client app because I'm going to show you a way to share it with them where it's much easier and it's branded to them. They're actually going to need a code to use that MLS Client app so it's branded to you and you're their only point of contact. We'll get into more of that as I get through the demo. Just really quickly, I'm going to open up the App Store. I'm using an iOS device right now. And if I go ahead and type in MLS, and by the time you get done typing in MLS-Touch generally shows right up there at the top. The one you want is, again, the one with the white background and the blue stripes on it. That's the agent version of MLS-Touch that I would encourage all of you to download. Again, free service to you. Now, MLS Client is what your clients are going to eventually get, but that's going to be, again, something I'll show you how you can share once you get into the app yourself. So let me open up and start by opening up the agent version of MLS-Touch, which is where I'll stay for the most part. Now, I'm already logged in today. In the interest of time, I didn't want to kind of go through all the login process, but if it's the first time that you ever do get MLS-Touch, first thing you're going to need to do is select what state you're in, of course, Minnesota. And then secondly, you'll have to choose your MLS. And I believe there's only one selection right now, and it's you all, North Star. Once you select that, you're going to go to a screen that's going to look extremely similar to the login that you use for Matrix. And you will use the exact same credentials that you use to log into Matrix, which is what you're seeing kind of in the background there, that you use to log into MLS-Touch. So you should be authenticated. And the first place I always like to start, other than the home page here, where you kind of see all of our nice little widgets, which I'll get back to, what I'm going to do is I'm going to type on contacts or tap on contacts right down there at the bottom. It's even got a little badge icon up there at the very top with the number 10 on it, because I've got some things I need to attend to. But as I type on contact or tap on contacts, all the contacts I have here, and I just want to kind of show you here in the background with Matrix, are the same contacts that I have here in Matrix as well. So as you can see, there's Brent Adams. You can see there's Matrix Test, and there's a couple others. There's Andy Murphy, and Andy shows up there at the very top too, and there are several others. But the same exact contacts I have here in Matrix are exactly the same contacts that I have here in MLS-Touch as well. So if you want to take a look at any of these contacts, first of all, let me explain, and I'm going to quickly show you this, and it's something you might want to do as well. I'm going to quickly type into the More button, right down in the lower right-hand corner of my iPhone screen there, kind of the hamburger icon, 2 pieces of bread and the meat in the middle there. I am actually logged in today as the agent test prod. I know, not a very exciting name, just a login that I was able to borrow from the MLS. But as I mentioned, I'm Brent, but I will be masquerading as test prod today as far as my agent is concerned. What I've also done, and what I recommend people do very often with these types of things, is add yourself as a contact so you can see what it looks like both from the contact side and what it's going to look like from the agent side as well. And that's what I've done in this case. Second down from the top, you're seeing I've added myself as a contact. I'm going to tap on that real quick and just show you what's included there in my contact card. Number one, I can always get right to my favorites. I've got 3 favorites saved right now. If I want to take a look at a favorite that hasn't been accessed yet, you can see I've got that badge on that favorites. I can scroll through all these properties that I, as a client, have favorited here in MLS-Touch. Also, any I've discarded as well. I can kind of toggle across the top and see which ones that I don't like. So as an agent, you're going to have insight into what your clients like and don't like, both here and in the One Home Client portal. If they've got any messages that you've sent, this is another place to access them. We're going to talk a little bit about messages. You're already probably getting the idea that you're going to have a nice ability to chat back and forth with your clients with whom you've shared the app. We'll get more into this and all the collaboration that you can do with your clients in just a moment. And then any listings that I've sent my client are going to be available here too. So you're starting to see that your client contact cards are going to be a great place to keep organized, see what you've sent your clients, see what they've liked, and see what they haven't liked too. We do want to make sure that they've got an email address and a phone number in there as well. That's going to be very helpful when we email these listings to your clients or text them to your clients too. But that's effectively really what a contact card will do. Now, the other thing that you can do is if you want to add your clients via MLS-Touch, there are a couple different ways to do that. Up in the upper right-hand corner of my phone, you'll see the add button. And if I type add, I've got 2 different choices down there at the bottom. Number one, I can import from device. I'm not going to tap on that right now. And I do actually want to warn you, of course, it is possible to import every single one of your contacts into MLS-Touch. And you might not want your grandma and grandpa or aunt and uncle or son or daughter in there. But it also does give you the ability to select them individually too. Just be careful there. You might not want to import everybody into Matrix as a contact. But you can also create new just from scratch. And if I create new, all you need to do is put in that first name, last name, email, and phone number. And if you've got any other information, it's great to put it in here to, again, keep yourself organized with your contacts. But really, all we do need is that first name, last name, email, and phone number as well. And that's really it for your contacts. You're noticing leads over here on the right-hand side too. We'll get back to that in a little bit. But what I'd like to do next is go back to the home page and do some searches for you. And we can always get back to the home page by clicking on the home button in the lower left-hand corner of my iPhone screen there, which I'll do right now. So the first search that I like to do is I like to do a map search first. I think it's a really nice way to do some searches, a nice visual way to look for properties. And it'll scroll right down to the nearest property that you were located next to last time you did a search. As I scroll out a little bit further, first of all, you saw 5 results a moment ago. As I scroll out further, now it's 52 results. As I scroll out even further, it gets to be, something along the lines of 124 results. So wherever you happen to be scrolled into at a given time, it's going to show you new properties. Also, right off the bat, you're going to be able to see some interesting things about many of these properties too. Number one, let's scroll down to this one in Little Canada here for $1.18 million. You might notice a little house next to it with a key in it. That means we've got an open house on this property. And I've just tapped that property lightly on my screen, and now I've got a bit of a hybrid view. Number one, you can see as I scroll up a little bit, I can see the entire listing view for this property. And we can see that there's an open house in this property too. That's that little purple bubble you see there at the very top. And also you get to know when that open house is if you want to schedule that. I'm going to click my little arrow in the upper left-hand corner of this photo. And that brings me back down to that hybrid view. And I can always swipe back down to get my full map view again too. So no matter how you like to view properties or how you like to navigate around, it's a great way to look at those homes. Let's see if I can find another one for you. If I scroll out just a little bit further, you'll also start to see price reductions and price increases as well. I'm not seeing one right off the bat here. There's one for $1.25 million. That's an easy way to find price reductions by using map search as well. So if I go ahead and just tap on that one, you can see that property's dropped by 4% from 1.3 million to 1.25 million most recently. So that's another great way just to find out information about those properties. Now, additionally, you'll see that I've favorited some properties too. Let's see if I can find that one. It did have a star on it down here in Edina. And I'll go ahead and I'll give a click on that and we'll start running through some properties. So as I give a tap on that one, let's bring that all the way up to the top and show you that you can scroll through all the photos for these properties if you want to. Very easy to just swipe through them. And these are the same photos that have been uploaded into Matrix by the listing agent for this property. Additionally, I can favorite this home if you want. Notice over here on the right-hand side, sort of in the middle, there's a star that's filled out. That means I have favorited it as an agent. I can also unfavorite it simply by tapping that star again, or retap it if you want to. You'll get some basic information about the home, days on market, price, address. Also, you might see some things on that second gray line there that are a little bit grayed out. Just means we've got a little bit more information to show you. I'm just swiping back and forth with my fingers so we can kind of see all the information there. Next, what I'm going to do is move down into that actions bar a little bit lower, starting with the share button. There are various ways that you can share these listings with your clients. Maybe I've done this search in Edina. I've got some clients that are interested in properties around this price range with this many bedrooms and bathrooms. Now that I've found them, you're on the run, don't have my laptop with me, not sitting at my desk with my desktop. I can share these listings with my clients very easily, a number of different ways. So the first thing I can do is I can send by SMS, not to be confused with send in message, which we'll get to in just a moment. But if I go ahead and send to my SMS, it's going to go in and it's going to give me my list of contacts. In this case, I'll choose myself since I'm sort of operating both as client and agent today. And I'll go ahead and I'll send it. And as I send it, let me swipe off of this for just a moment. And I'll show you what it looks like when you do get these sorts of listings sent to you. You get a nice preview of these listings. I am now operating as the client who is receiving these messages. And what they can also do is they can just give a tap on them. And it's going to end up taking them to a nice little landing page that gives them all the details about this property. So yet again, they can scroll through the photos if they want to. They've got all the vital information they need to know about these homes. They can see the public description, the general information, your rooms. There's going to be a cost calculator here as well. What are your taxes going to be? Where's that property located on the map too? And as we go back to that general section, they can even open things like the details about the property too. Or again, take a look at that map, whether it's the street view, the bird's eye view, or anything else they want to know. There's a mortgage estimator for them so they can understand whether or not they're going to be able to afford to be in this property. And then they only have access to you. the agent who has shared this listing with them. They have no access to the listing agent who's associated with this property. So again, no going around you. They'll only have access to you. All right, so I am now in a web browser. Let me scroll out of that for just a minute. We're going to hop back into my MLS-Touch app. And let me show you a couple other ways to share these listings with your clients too. You can also send them by email. And if you want, you can either put in an email address from scratch, or you can simply find one of your clients. I'll utilize myself again, and I'll go ahead and I'll send that off. Now, I already took the liberty of sending that email off prior to today's demo. So instead of digging into my inbox, what I'll show you now is what that's going to look like when that gets sent out. The first thing you're noticing is the Remax branding, very large right up there at the top. I currently have my app branded to Remax, and I'll show you how to change that in just a minute. But this is what those emails are going to look like when you send them out, when you utilize that branding. And when your client goes ahead and gets this email and clicks on the link within that email, they're going to end up on a listing page that looks extremely similar to what I just showed you. It's a responsive web design too. So if it gets shrunk down to something the size of a phone, it's also going to fit just fine. Everything's going to look the same way as it did on my phone. But if you're on a desktop, if you're on a laptop, everything's nice and big. That mortgage estimator moves over there to the right. The pictures get a lot bigger. Your description, everything else that I showed you on that phone browser is going to look just as nice here on my Chrome browser, in this case here on my desktop. All right, another share method is going to be the ability to send a message. And this is what I gave you a bit of a sneak peek of earlier. When you send a message, it's not a text message anymore. You're now using the message service that is native to the MLS-Touch app. So if I go ahead and tap on myself, here's a property I'm sharing with my client, Brent, and I'm going to say something like, thought you'd like this one. And that's going to get sent off to my client in their version of the app. Really quickly, let me zoom off of my version of the app. Let me go into my client's version of the app, MLS Client. And what you'll see there is now my client is going to have access to that same message that I just sent. They're going to get a notification down there in the lower right-hand corner that says messages. And they're going to be able to see, oh, you know what? I do love this one. Let's go look. So this is just the ability for you to be able to, again, collaborate back and forth between agent to client. I'll show you a little bit more about the client version a little bit, but just wanted to show you how that messaging worked, how we can kind of go back and forth. And again, you'll start to see that all those messages show up here back and forth with you and your client. So easy if you want to share the app with them to be able to, again, just kind of chat back and forth. And as you can see, that message just pops up there right away, and I get notified of that too. So under share, those are all those different ways to share those listings. You can also copy that MLS number if you want to as well. Showing request is also available. I am not able to demo this for you. I'm not on your active agent roster, which it's going to tell me there in just a moment. But the mobile version of showing time is very easy. You can set up various different showings, first showing, second showing. You can put in the times that are requested and everything else that you're used to using about showing time. So just know for you active agents, that's going to be able to be used for you too. Carts are going to be something that also sync back and forth with MLS-Touch and Matrix. So if I want to add this property to a specific cart for a specific client, you can create brand new carts here. They'll be created in Matrix, and vice versa. If you create carts in Matrix, they'll be able to be added here for your clients as well, and those will sync together too. Next, I'll show you a comparables report. So if I want to run a comp report on these properties, all I have to do is type comparables, and it's a very basic comp report. Now, I've been talking about syncing back and forth with Matrix and MLS-Touch. This is one of the few things that does not really sync at all with Matrix. This comparables report is its own comparables report here in MLS-Touch, and it's pretty basic. If you want to find recently sold properties or on market properties, you can choose to do that here. There's a couple of sliders where you can keep those properties within a percentage of the current list price of the property, plus or minus 20% in this case. Or you can decide how far away you want to go to find those comparables using that slider too. And if you'd like those comps to have the same number of bedrooms, you've got a little slider down here that you can turn on and off as well. Let's run that search and see what we find. And there are all my nearby comparables. My subject property there in the middle, that one for 1.49 million. And you can see where each and every single one of my comps is located physically. And not only can you see them in a map view, you can also see them in a list view too. Now, the other thing I want to point out is now that you've got these comps, if you want to share these comps with your clients, a great way to do that en masse is to use the little stoplight icon there, or kind of avatar in the upper right-hand corner of my screen, just 3 dots on top of each other. And as you tap on that, here are ways that you can share lists of properties. Now, you can't send these via message. You can't send multiple properties via message at the same time. You have to send those individually. But you can send multiple ones via email, via text, or add them all to your favorites or add them to a cart here too. So just know that, again, when sharing lists of properties, groups of properties, you're going to use those action buttons up there at the top, those 3 dots. But otherwise, you're going to do what I was doing before and use that share icon over there on individual properties. There is the ability to print. If you've got a wireless printer hooked up to your phone, you can feel free to print there too. And then moving down a little bit lower, again, don't forget, I'm in the agent version of the app. You get access to everything. Now, we can view these properties on a map. I do like the 3D. It kind of does give you that old bird's eye imagery that we kind of used to use in Google. It's kind of a nice look. Gets you kind of a really good idea as to what's going on around a property. I'm just sort of using my fingers to sort of pinch in, pinch out, sort of rotate too. But just X out if you want to get out of those maps. There are directions there too. Now that's going to take you out of the app. That's going to take you to Google Maps. That's going to take you to Apple Maps. That's going to tell you how to get from point A to this particular property too. And now we'll move into the details. So you've got the ability to put private notes on these properties that only you can see. You know, save this one for John, save this one for Jane, or love this one. Then you get all the listing information. This is everything coming in from the listing agent who put this property into Matrix. You get general information, parcel information, accessibility features. There's a mortgage estimator. That's really more for your clients. And then you get access to not only the public remarks, but you also get access to the agent remarks. You're also going to get information, access to things like the room information. Also, any extra features. Compensation and financial information, again, only available to you, not going to be available to your clients, nor will things like the MLS documents. In this case, we've got a sewer inspection, seller disclosure. So all of your attachments, all of your supplements are going to be here available to you in MLS-Touch too. Here's all the Realist Tax Data. As I tap on that one, this could differ from what you see in the listing information. Those of you who are familiar with our Realist Tax and Public Records information or service, this is effectively a property detail report in Realist available for you right here in MLS-Touch, just sort of highlighting that integration between all these CoreLogic products for you. So here you're going to get things like the tax information, the physical characteristics according to the county, that estimated value that we provide to you in Realist, the last time the property sold, mortgages, and sales all available for you too. Then you get access to the listing agent. Again, we'll show you in a little bit in the client version of this that you've shared, that your client's only going to have access to you, not the listing agent. However, you as the agent does have access here to Stacy, and you can contact her by email or do a showing request too. And then you've got access to the history for this property too. That's about everything you would want to see on this listing. So we've got a lot of information for you available just by clicking on these listings right here on the map. But let me show you how you can do a couple of other things too. So, you know, maybe you want to narrow this down. You notice as I scroll out a little bit, I'm getting listings for properties kind of everywhere. You know, a great way to narrow these down is to just go ahead and tap on the map up here. So take a look at my map tools in the upper right-hand corner. I'm going to tap on the pencil icon real quick, and you'll notice it fills in. If I only want to look at properties in this area of Edina, all I have to do is do that circle, and every other property that I've looked at is now gone. And don't forget, you've got access to them not only in the map, but you've also got them in a list view, and you can scroll through or sort them as you see fit. And then something that we've added in addition that I haven't showed you yet is the statistics. So whenever you return a list of properties, with the exception of the comparables that I showed you a moment ago, you're going to have the map, list, and stats available to you as well. Now, in addition to the stats, you can look at stats for on-market properties or sold or leased properties too. And those are going to have a little slider. So if you want to see properties that have sold in the past 2 weeks versus properties that have sold in the past 3 months, it's really easy to do just by using that slider at the very top. And any off-market stats are going to be available for you too. The other thing that you'll notice about these stats once they do render for you is some of these things in blue are going to be clickable for you as well. So if you want to go take a look at that highest priced property that's listed for just below $4 million, you can go ahead and give it a tap. Actually, that was a canceled one. And you can go right to that property. So it's another nice feature of those stats too. All right, I'm going to go back out to the map and show you a few more things that you can do there. I am simply going to turn off my shape drawing just by clicking on that pencil again, it'll go away. And the other thing I want to point out to you is if I scroll down way into these properties, and you can see I have these parcel lines turned on, even if a property has never been listed, all you have to do is give a tap on it. We'll give you those estimated lot dimensions, and you'll get the public records information for that property too. So just like I showed you a moment ago, you can see that sort of property detail report here that really comes right out of Realist and see everything you want to for those homes. I'll see if I can find one that actually has been listed at some point in the past. Here's one. So as I've tapped on that, not only do I have the public records information, but notice right below the year built, it actually allows me to go right to that previous listing, whether it was closed or it's just not active right now, or it's just not a filter that I have turned on. You've got the ability to find that property right there too. A couple other features that I did want to show you here on the maps. Let me scroll out to maybe some more of a 30,000-foot view. I'm going to tap on the little information button at the very top right-hand corner of my map right now and show you a couple other things you can turn on. I like a map view, but you can also turn on a satellite view too. Very easy for you to just find a property, whether it's commercial, residential, vacant piece of land, tap on it and find more information about it. For the purposes of the demo, I like to leave the map on. Schools, if you want to know where schools are, we've got an overlay for those. So you can see where all those mortar boards are showing up. You're going to be able to see exactly what schools are nearby if you've got a client looking to buy a property in a particular area and they'd like to know what schools are nearby. I can turn those off with a slider simply by tapping on that eye again. We can show you traffic patterns in the area too. Let's see if I can get into a sort of, it's like you don't have too much traffic going on at the moment, which is nice, but you can see it's sort of like, you know, Apple Maps, where it shows you yellow if things are going a little slow, red if things are completely stopped. But those are the kind of overlays that you can expect to see there, the same kind of thing that you'd see on Google or Apple Maps. And I'll turn those off. And the last overlay we have available for you is flood zone as well. That scrolls in and gives you a nice little legend there. But if we want, you know, if we're near a pond or a lake or anything else, you're going to be able to see what other areas are near specific floodplains, or if those properties or if those parcels are actually intersected by those floodplains as well. And we do give you that legend so you can understand exactly what those are too. But those are all the overlays you have available. I'm going to turn off the traffic and the flood zones and also point out that you can use these filters too. So as I scroll out and I'm looking for all these properties, another thing you can do is click on the filters in the upper right-hand corner. And as you tap on those filters, you know, maybe you're only interested in looking for properties that have a certain number of bedrooms or bathrooms, or that are a certain type of property. So I was looking for just single family properties. Maybe I'd like to look for all single family properties. And by the way, you can select multiple or all or just one if you want to as well. Every time you do make a selection, whether it's residential, commercial, multifamily, farm, lots and lands, you do have to hit the apply button up here in the upper right-hand corner. You can then decide, hey, I only want to find properties with at least 3 bedrooms and at least 3 bathrooms. You can decide whether or not you want to find active, and maybe you also want to put in some coming soon or some pendings as well, and we'll apply there. And then you can even set that price, whether you want to set, again, a low price with no high price or a high price with no low price. You're going to have the ability to set those in there exactly the way you want. And then not only can you look at all these different sort of kind of the vital search attributes that you're used to using, again, beds, bathrooms, living area, lot area, but you've got the more criteria button. And here's where, as I mentioned, you can put in things like heating or cooling, or look for properties on a lake if you only want to find lakefront properties. This is a great way to do that too, or lake view properties if you'd like. Any sort of construction you want to find. Again, trying to put the MLS in the palm of your hands, so all the same search attributes you have available to you in Matrix are available for you here in MLS-Touch as well. And once we're done, we'll go ahead and hit search, and you'll see those properties start popping up. It looks like I didn't actually hit my apply button there, but here, let me just put a couple others in here for coming soon and hit apply and do that search. And then again, you'll see some coming soon properties start to pop up in there too. And they'll be color coded, so it's very easy for you to see them as well. So that was everything I really wanted to show you on the map. Let's go back to the homepage real quick. And there are other ways to search if the map search is not for you. Number one, you can also search by listing number if you'd like to. You can put in as many as 10 listing numbers at one time if you'd like. Another one is advanced search, which I'll get back to in a moment. I do want to point out a couple of other good ones here on the homepage. The InstaView button, and unfortunately I'm doing this demo today from my office in Colorado, so I'm nowhere near any listings that you may have that are available for you in the Minnesota area. But as long as you've got your location services turned on with that InstaView button, you'll be able to find any properties that are nearby you. Again, driving by a property and you see a sign out in front and you want to find out more about it, simply fire up the MLS-Touch app, hit InstaView, and you'll find if that property's been listed through your MLS and all the details about it too. Another one I do want to show you is the advanced search, and that's in the upper right-hand corner here. As I tap on that, it's really exactly what I showed you on the map search a moment ago. We're just starting here from your kind of tabular search. The one thing that changes it a little bit is you've got an area that you can select up here. So for example, if I really only did want to search for properties in Edina, I can go ahead and put Edina in there. And as I put that in, I'll select it and hit apply. And now you can decide to find, again, maybe all single family properties, again, with at least 3 bedrooms and at least 3 bathrooms. And we'll say in this case, I'm only interested in finding actively listed properties. And I'll go ahead and set a price of, let's just say, $1 million and above, just to make sure we get some homes. And I'll hit search. So now I get my list view. What I do want to show you is this map view, because I want to show you now that I'm looking at these properties in Edina. Remember how every time I was looking, when I would scroll over to a different part of the map, more properties would show up? Well, you're seeing I'm not finding any right now because I've asked for it only to find me those properties in Edina. So it's only finding me those properties in the Edina city limits. So it's a nice way to limit your search too. And if this is a search that you're interested in saving, you'll notice at the very bottom here, I've got a save search button. And I can give it any sort of name that I want to. In this case, just in the interest of time, I'll call it test search and create it. And then it's going to be available to you in your saved searches. We'll get to more about saved searches in a minute. I do want to point out, though, that of all the things I've talked about with syncing, you will get searches that you've saved in Matrix available to you in MLS-Touch. However, a search that I've saved in MLS-Touch, just as I've done right now, will not sync back into Matrix. It's just about the only one that doesn't sync both ways, but just wanted to make sure that was clear for everybody. All right, I'm going to go back to the home page again, and I'll next point out my listings. Now, I don't have any listings, not being an active agent with the MLS, but if you did have them here, not only would you be able to click on them and see them, but here I'll tap on one real quick. Let me just go to a map search. When I go in and open up a property, if it was my listing, over there in the middle on the left-hand side where it says share, you would have an additional icon over there, a little pencil, and it would say edit. And that's where you're going to be able to edit the status, the remarks, or the listing price of the property if it happens to be your listing. But just wanted to point that out for you too. Last thing I really haven't shown you here on the homepage, or 2 last things I should say, are again, your favorites. So any properties that you've favorited are going to be available for you here. So you can easily scroll through them. And if you've starred them, they're easy to find. And then the last thing I wanted to show you here was also the hot sheet. So on the hot sheet, all you have to do is give a tap. And again, this is another one where you've got your own hot sheet in Matrix. This is completely separate from the hot sheet that you see in Matrix. This hot sheet in MLS-Touch lives on its own, no syncing back and forth with these. But you see at the very top, you've got a time period. If you want to look at changes that have been made in the last day, or changes that have been made in the last 3 days or up to 30 days, you've got it available for you. You can change your property type down here at the bottom. So I'm just looking at single family properties, but you've got your choices to choose all of them or multiples if you want to as well. And then there's also the ability to change your location too. What you see up here is I have got 10 different locations. That's your limit. You can use MLS areas, you can use cities, you can use counties. But again, you've got that 10 limit. In this case, I've maxed it out here, which is why in this case, I'm finding so many properties here in my hot sheet. So I've got 13 price decreases down there at the bottom. As I give a tap on those, every single property that shows up here is going to be a property that has enjoyed a price decrease in the recent past. So you can see each one of them has that little percentage next to them, and those prices have dropped on those properties. All right. That's about everything I had to show you here on the homepage. Actually, down at the bottom, there's a couple more things I did want to show you. Again, home gets you back to the home. Search will, again, just get you right back to a map search where I was a moment ago. We talked about contacts a while back. That's another way to access them. Members is another one that's very interesting. This gives you access to all the members of North Star MLS. So I've got a whole list of them. If I want to narrow it down, maybe at least by a name, we can go down to maybe the Smith level here. And if I give a tap on any of these agents, you're going to be able to see their contact information. You're going to be able to see any listings that they have on market too. So it might be a property that's of interest to you or one of your clients. You've got the contact information for Anthony, to give him a little ring about that property. You can see what properties he's closed recently. You can even see where he's been on the buying side and all of his contact information. In the upper right-hand corner, you can even add him as a contact as well. If you see that little sort of silhouette of a person with a little plus sign, you can add them as a contact right here in MLS-Touch too. And then the last thing I want to kind of round it off with is the More button over here. And there's a lot of good stuff still left here to show you under the More button. Some of the best stuff, in fact. So as I tap on that icon, this is where, again, you can see all your information, make sure your photo's right, make sure your name is right. But you've got access to a number of other things here. Under General, you've got access to all of your saved searches. Now, as I mentioned, here are all the searches that I've saved in MLS-Touch. I want to be clear, these do not sync back into Matrix. However, what you will see is any searches that I have in Matrix will sync into MLS-Touch. And let me go back into Matrix really quickly here, into my Matrix, into my saved searches. And you'll see, just as I have residentials and test Matrix SS, here are those same exact searches over here in Matrix. So those will sync wonderfully with each other. Other than saved searches, moving your way down, you've got your cost calculator. So that's available for you, also available for your clients, of course. Moving down a little bit lower, let's get into some branding here. So as I click on Manage Branding, this is where you're going to have the ability to share your version or your app, your branded version of the app with your clients. So you've got your brand kit over here. And as you scroll down a little bit lower, you can see you can go unbranded if you'd like to. Another thing that you can do is also put in your own brand if you want to as well. So if you want to actually upload your own logo, if you've got it and it lives on your mobile device where you're using MLS-Touch, we'll be able to upload your own logo, and you'll be able to go ahead and put that in MLS-Touch, and we'll even match the colors for you as well. But you can also use any additional brands that we might have available for us as well. So for example, if I want to go in and type in, let's see, I'll put in Coldwell Banker. We've got Coldwell Banker. I'm going to go ahead and save and activate that. And what you'll notice is a couple of different things. So now that I've made that change, my Coldwell Banker change, I'm no longer branded to Remax. Let's go out of here for just a moment and point out that now when I go into, for example, that listing, that landing page, if I go ahead and refresh that now, it's no longer Remax, it's Coldwell Banker. So as soon as you make that change, it's changed for anyone who's browsing on any of these on any of these landing sites. I'll also point out that One Home was also branded to Remax as well. As I pointed out, if you favored a property here as a client, if you thumbs down a property here as a client, those do get integrated into MLS-Touch as well. But watch what happens here if I refresh now on One Home. That's now branded to Coldwell Banker too. So it's that easy to make those changes. Now, of course, my emails that have already been sent out, those aren't going to change since those are emails that have already gone out. But any future emails that I send out are going to have that Coldwell Banker branding on them as well. And the last place that it changes, let me swipe off here for just a minute. And actually, let me kill that MLS client. But as I come back in here and open up MLS client, rather than the Coldwell Banker, or excuse me, rather than the Remax branding, I've now got that Coldwell Banker branding showing up there. Coldwell Banker branding. Try saying that 3 times fast after 45 minutes of demoing. But that's your branding center. I also want to point out that you've got your branding center available for you as well here in Matrix, and they sync with one another. So if you go ahead and click on Manage Branding, what I've been showing you here in my mobile device is extremely, whoops, looks like I have expired. So I do need to go ahead and click on that in Matrix. But what you've been seeing here in my mobile device is exactly what you're going to see here in Matrix too. So all those changes that have been made have synced completely with Matrix. And you can even, again, preview what that Matrix email is going to look like. preview what the MLS client's going to look like too. So you understand what those things are going to look like before you even send them out too. So that's managed branding. Now, after you've branded that app, you've got a couple of different ways to share it with your clients. The one thing that I recommend, I'm going to hop off this more section for a minute and go into contacts. If you've got a contact that already exists in Matrix and here in MLS-Touch, I'm going to recommend you go into their contact card and you click on Share My App and share that app with them directly. So really all they need, if they've already got that MLS client downloaded, is this code right here. That's it. That little part right there, and I'll copy that for later. But if you want to send out this entire link to them, it's going to take them to that Google Play Store. It's going to take them to that Apple App Store. Download that MLS client app that's branded to your specifications that we just sent out. You can text it, you can email it right from here, or copy and paste it as you saw me do a moment ago. Now, aside from that, if you want to generate some leads, as you see over here on that right-hand side of my screen, I suggest you go into More, go into Share My Branded App, and then this is the more generic link that you can share. So whereas that first link I showed you was unique to Brent or unique to John or unique to any of your clients, this is a great one to put out there into the interwebs and be able to generate some passive leads. And when I say, put it out there, I mean, if you've got maybe a newsletter that you send out each quarter, go ahead and put this link in it and say, hey, download my app if you get the chance. If you've got your email signature, I'm John J. Realtor, reach me at this phone number, reach me at this email address, or simply download my app. They'll be able to click on that version of that link right there with that code. And then once they do and put in all their information, that's going to end up adding them as a lead. Once they've added themselves, or once they've been added as a lead, you get to go in and open them up and decide whether you want to accept them or reject them as a lead. If you go ahead and hit accept, they'll automatically get moved over from your leads over into your contacts, and then they've been added back quickly. So it's a great way to, again, passively generate leads by putting that app out there, putting that link out there. All right, moving down the line, from getting on from branding and the branded app, there's also a Facebook publishing tool. Now, I do want to point out that you do need to have a Facebook business page, not a Facebook personal page. And I don't have Facebook on this device here, but if I did, what you'd be able to do is you'd be able to link up with your Facebook business page, and there'd be various sliders for you. If you've got a coming soon property, or if you've got a price reduction, they can automatically be pushed out to Facebook, and then all of your clients that maybe interact with you on Facebook will be able to see that you have some properties coming up as well. Third-party integrations. I've been talking about syncing a lot this morning. Here is where, if you like that syncing, you can leave it on. If you don't like that syncing, you can turn it off. If you don't want your contacts to sync back and forth, it's as easy as turning on that slider on or off. The client portal sync, your saved searches sync. Don't forget, saved searches, the only ones that don't go both ways. Saved searches do go from Matrix to MLS-Touch, but they don't go from MLS-Touch to Matrix. Carts, and even your one home brand and share, which is kind of what I was showing you earlier when I made that Coldwell Banker from Remax change. But this is where you can turn on or off all that syncing. Don't forget, it's all here under that More button in the lower right-hand corner. There's also some settings. Not a lot of too exciting stuff here. Under settings, you've got preferences. This mostly has to do with how you like information to show up, particularly in lists, price to sending, date, newest to oldest, oldest to newest, and a few other things as well. Moving off of preferences and down to comparables. Remember, I ran a comp report for you earlier. This is just another way to change any of those as defaults. Do I want to make it a 25% difference in a 2-mile radius? And do I want those same number of bedrooms when I open up that comp report? You can set those as defaults if you want to here. And then if you'd like to be notified when any of these types of things are done by any of your clients, whether you've gotten a message, whether you've gotten a lead, whether a client has favorited or discarded a property, you're going to be able to put those in there and get badge notifications or push notifications right to your phone if you want to as well. And that's it for settings. Okay, I've given you a lot of information. I'm going to start pointing out to where you can get a little bit of extra information if you need any help. Number one, we've got technical support and send feedback. Effectively, those do the same thing. They're going to generate an email to us where if you're having an issue, or if you just want to tell us how awesome we are and how much you love the app. We love those too. But what you're going to get here when we generate this email is all the vital information that we need to know who you are and what you're using. So what app are you using? What version of the app are you using? What phone are you using and operating system is that phone running? And then what board are you with? What your username is? And if you're having a problem, the best thing to do here is maybe tell us what you were trying to do and what happened and what you expected to happen. We'll open up a ticket and we'll track that issue to completion for you and make sure everything gets taken care of for you in short order as well. But that's just the way to, again, send technical support. Also, send feedback really effectively. Does exactly the same thing. It's just an email where you're giving us a little bit of feedback. If you need some more help, I highly recommend clicking on the Help Center. That takes you out of the app, however. I'm now in a browser, Safari on my phone, and you can read any MLS-Touch articles you want to, or any webinars that you like to see, or any guides that are available too. And that's all here for you, available for you in the MLS-Touch app. And then, of course, you can log out too if you ever need to. Let me just spend one more moment and scrolling off of here and showing you the client version of the app. And really, I've already showed you all the different versions of all the different features that the app has. And your client has access to almost everything you do. They've got InstaView. They've got their own favorites, their own saved searches. They can do the same searches that you can. But down here in the lower right-hand corner, they don't have a hot sheet. They only have access to you, their agent. We want to make sure that you're the only person that they have access to. There's not going to be a workaround so that they can get to the listing agents for these properties. We want them to work through you. So even when they go ahead and go into their messages and tap on properties that you've already sent them, you can see that their access is going to be a lot less, they're going to have a lot less features available to them than you do. So for example, they have no showing requests. They don't have the ability to do a couple other things. They've just got share and print right here. As we scroll down into the bottom, they've got public remarks, but they've got no private remarks. They do have access to the Realist Tax Data, but they've got no access to the agent listing information for this property too. So effectively, they've got the same version as you do. We've just abridged a little bit of the amount of information that they have access to so that you can collaborate with them and help them get into the properties that they want to. And the last thing I'd want to point out is back here in Matrix, there is always the Matrix Learning Lab, which is another great place to not only learn about MLS-Touch, but also learn about Matrix, One Home, and Realist too. We've got all kinds of great articles and great helpful hints for you for all of these different products.